All right. We're connecting to YouTube now. And here we are with Morgan, Rushton, Lanre, and Dooney. And unfortunately, Devstree is not feeling well. So best wishes to her. Hope she gets well soon. But the big thing about today, as opposed to usually just having one guest, is in this case, we already had Morgan talk about what adaptability means in her life. Lanre talked about adversity. Devstree talked about balance. Dr. Rushton Johnson talked about wisdom, and Dooney talked about care. So today it's going to be a little bit more just kind of, what do we all think about each other's words, not just their stories, but also in our own lives. And I guess let's go ahead and start with introductions. Morgan, since you were the first guest I had, thank you and welcome back.
Thanks. Hey everyone, I'm Morgan. HBX, Harvard Business School online, graduate from the June 2016 cohort and core.
All right. And then next we have David Lanre Messon, who goes by David with English speakers, Lanre in Nigeria. And he spoke about adversity. So Lanre, how you doing?
Hi, Scott. I'm doing fine, and it's nice to be here. Of course, I did a HBSO program, and I think the class of April 2018.
All right. And then unfortunately, Devstree is not here, but just to go ahead and introduce her a bit, she is one of the community organizers for HBS Online for the Houston community. She is a Lean Six Sigma expert and a professor at the University of Houston. And next, we have Dr. Rushton Johnson. How are you doing?
Hi, doing well. As you said, I'm Rushton Johnson, and currently I work at a community college in Knoxville, Tennessee, Pellissippi State. And the role that I have is Vice President of Student Affairs. I've been in higher education for about 23 plus years now. And I'm an alum of HBX, of course. And I think I was in your cohort, Scotty.
Yeah.
Were you in our cohort as well, Morgan? I think we were all.
I was June 2016.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Rushton and me, and then also Liz Taylor,
Yes.
and several others. We were September 2015.
Yeah.
And
one of the early cohorts.
Yeah, we're still not sure if we were the first international cohort or the second. I think we're all kind of
first or second.
Details.
Yeah, but I guess would still be considered OGs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I finished HBX, I then articulated into the Harvard Extension School, and proud to say that I completed all of my degree requirements in December. And so in May, I'll actually march virtually, whatever that will look like for us. We don't know yet, having earned the master's in management. So.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats. Hopefully they'll get you on campus at some point for the, walking through the gates. So.
Yeah, I'm looking for some pomp and circumstance after all of that work.
Yeah, you definitely deserve it. And the next person is Dooney Dio Coyote, who is a high school junior in Chicago. So Dooney, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about you?
Good. I would like to point out to everyone, despite his shirt saying New York, he is in fact in Chicago. And he's kind of moved around a bit, but he's definitely in Chicago right now.
You used to live in Knoxville, like I think a year ago. So yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess you two were kind of neighbors for a bit, right?
Yeah, I guess.
All right. So yeah, I think one of the big things that when I first started thinking about this idea, I was thinking, what if we do one word a week, just kind of talk about a few different things, because each of us are driven by different things. But when we talk about what's a key phrase or philosophy in our lives, a lot of times, we do have a couple words we always go back to. And obviously, this wasn't about saying adaptability is definitely Morgan's word, but it is something that does describe, part of her life. And for each of us, we've probably used every word in some way. But I thought, Dooney, Lanre, Rushton, if you guys have any thoughts on the word adaptability, if you want to throw it out there, or if you know a bit about what Morgan has overcome in her life, if you want to comment on that, feel free. Oh, I guess Dooney or Rushton or Lanre, if you want to go ahead.
Sure,
that's
I'll
all
go
right.
first.
All right.
I feel like coming from someone who's like moved around a lot, I feel like adaptability does play a huge role in like who you are and like how you're able to deal with certain situations, because like it's kind of like what I was talking about like in my previous interview, like being able to step out of your comfort zone. I feel like adaptability does play a like huge role in that. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Rushton, being an educator, and then the story you told, it's just constant adaptability, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I would chime in and say, I think, when I think about faith, it's all about adaptability, right? And so, what I didn't share in my own story was that I'm a preacher's kid. And so, we sort of grew up in a household that really was all about faith and spirituality. So, we learned at an early age that we had to walk a walk of faith, if you will. So, it is how do you live? How do you not only survive but thrive? And it's living a life of faith, right? That's believing beyond what you can't see. And so when I think about adaptability, so as you encounter challenges in your life, you have to be adaptable and not allow the challenges that you encounter to break you, right? How can you learn from what you encounter in those challenges, incorporate that into your faith system or your belief system, and then move forward in a positive and productive way. So I think it really, the two, I think, really resonate and are intertwined, inextricably linked, some would say. But yeah, it's all about knowing how to face challenges and glean from your lived experiences to face them well and then move forward in a positive and productive way.
Yeah, definitely. And Lanre, being in Africa, being in Nigeria specifically, but having a presence all around Africa, you do a lot of adapting, I guess. When you're constantly mentoring all these entrepreneurs, right? You always have to adapt to their local culture, language, because it's not just Pan African. Every country, every tribe, everyone has their own thing. Oh, you're on mute. Yeah, so I guess
You want me to say something?
yeah.
Okay, so I mean, following what you said, you were just saying, um, I believe that we live in a society where adversities it forms part of our daily existence as human beings. So, and just like Rustin has said, there are certain values that would position you to handling, those challenges. So, as an entrepreneur in Africa, this there are several challenges facing every entrepreneur, and most especially those who want to get off the ground. So, for example, my biggest focus is more on those who want to get off the ground because it pretty much seems like they are more challenged from turning their ideas to reality, particularly because we do not have the infrastructure that kind of support, early stage growth in Nigeria. Like from where you come from, the infrastructure to support early stage growth, it kind of seems easier to start a business because you have access to a lot more things that kind of support you. But more practically, from this end, you have to fight to get your business off the ground. You have to convince the customers to kind of believe in whatever it is, whatever value you're trying to offer them. You've also got to fight for recognition because, you know, without that recognition, people don't tend to, trust that you will deliver on whatever it is that you're trying to offer them. You get so it's a system that is too cliche in its operation So you have to be able to first conquer those issues, mentally and also physically, for you to be able to, successfully run your own business.
Yeah, definitely. And like you mentioned, adversity plays a big role in adapting, which Morgan, you've definitely done a lot of that. Everyone can kind of tell you have a lot of nice things in your background. So clearly you've overcome a lot, to get to
Thank
where
you.
you are.
Most of it's thrift finding, quite honestly. Power shopping. But yeah, I mean, absolutely adaptability. I mean, and kind of going back to what I had mentioned in my previous interview, once you've got your mind set on something, you've really got to psych yourself out and, just say, no, I'm going to achieve this no matter what it takes. I mean, obviously within reason, haven't murdered anyone, don't plan to. But, you just really got to go for it and understand that life is going to throw many things at you. You worry about what you can control, and you got to roll with the punches and figure out your next game plan when something goes askew or goes wrong.
Yeah. And why I started with adaptability is because part of the alphabetical order, but also in this case, out of the 5 words, I start with adaptability because, like you said, you have to care about what you're doing, right? You have to, if you have adversity, you have to overcome it. You have to believe in what you're doing. You have to care about it. And that's how you adapt. That's how you overcome these things, which the word I didn't mention was balance. I think that's one of the interesting things is when we have to overcome something, it's easy to think, okay, this has to be the one thing. I hyper focus on that. But then we've all had to find different ways to balance that because it might be fine for a day or two or a week, depending on what it is, to really focus on one thing. But at some point, we have to find some kind of equilibrium in our lives. So it's not just chasing the goal. Morgan, in your case, also being a mom, having lots of pets. Dooney, being a high school student, you have a lot of high school interests, video games, basketball, all that. Rushton and Lanre, both of you being educators, I'm sure that you're not just educating, you're also being educated yourself. So I guess let's start with Morgan. What are some of the challenges for you to finding that balance when you need to go and achieve?
For sure, the mom balance. For instance, he's waking up from his nap now, so we may very well have a toddler joining this session soon. It's really trying to find that happy balance and that happy medium of work life or work goal or life goal or whatever it may be, while trying to maintain healthy levels of everything. Balance is important for anything to be sustainable. For example, if you're going, working 80, 90 hours a week, long term, that will eventually take its toll on your mental health, your physical health, and you'll just kind of spiral out. Whereas if you can manage to find that happy balance, it'll be much more sustainable long term for you to be able to produce and succeed in all facets of your life, as opposed to just hyper focusing on one.
Yeah, and I guess Rushton, for you, you've definitely always had a pretty good balance, I feel like, at least since I've known you. What would you like to say about that?
Well, I think, balance it's very much a process. It's dynamic, right? And so when I think about my current circumstance and going back to March of 2020, life as all of us knew it changed dramatically with, the advent of COVID-19. And so what was balance pre-pandemic looked very different to balance post-pandemic. And so, so it is, I think, a constant process of prioritizing, deciding what is important, what activities will help you achieve your most important goals, and then distributing your energy towards those things and making the decision to say, I'm not going to put energy in these things right now, because I think you can get to a point where you have too much on your plate That's one way to be out of balance. It's just to have too many things on your plate. Another way to be out of balance is to devote too much energy to things that are not productive, or things that don't align with what your manifest goals are, right? So it's this constant process of deciding, where am I going to devote my energy? What external circumstances do I need to consider in this picture of what balance looks like right now? And so I will say, when I made the decision to go back to school, it was a decision not only to do a thing, but a decision to not do other things.
Yeah.
Right. So I had to intentionally decide, for right now, I can no longer devote energy to these things, because that would crowd my plate. And then I would find myself out of balance and not doing well at the things that I have now said are important. So it's a constant process. Even when I think of myself as a manager, I have to make sure that what I am doing as a manager has balance. I have to, in the way I lead, because I need to have a certain amount of contact with, the folks that I'm leading. And then I need to have a certain amount of time to myself, to develop my skills and abilities. And I need to have a certain amount of time where I am casting vision. I need to have a certain amount of time where I'm assessing, so it's a constant process of deciding what's important. And it's often dictated by the current circumstance or the moment.
Speaking of current circumstances, welcome, Reese. How are you doing?
Say hi. Hi.
Hey,
You blow
Reese.
kisses? Yeah. Good job.
How you doing? Sleep well?
I don't think he slept. I think he just played with his toys because his room was a mess.
He has his priorities right. So, Rushton, you mentioned circumstances. Yeah, I think I definitely did not balance well the past year. I think some of it's, I've always been one of those, I when I prioritize something, I highly prioritize it to the point of, oh, this other thing, whatever, that'll take care of itself. I remember my philosophy starting college was, I don't need to write stuff down, not because I am going to remember everything, but if I don't think of it, it's not that important. Which, to be fair, I always did a good job of making sure that if I had to get something done for school to graduate, I always did that. But it was stuff like, oh, okay, here's maybe a meeting that I should go to find out what that's about, as opposed to I need to be there. Or if it's something that sounds interesting, but if I don't think of it at the time, then my theory was, okay, maybe I just need to go to sleep because I'm worn out or something more important has come up. I don't know if that's the best system. I mean, I did graduate, but I would say definitely this past year, I've definitely learned, okay, maybe start writing some stuff down, use Google Calendar more effectively. And, of course, it did take months, but I think, Dooney, you've seen a little bit of how I've been able to start saying, hey, what time is what time, and all that. So you've seen a different side of me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and Dooney, since we are working together on color hacks coming up this next week, February 19th, 21st, you have seen how most of the time I'm pretty on top of things. I'm saying, hey, Dooney, did we hear back from this person? Did we get this email? We got to send this out. You have also seen, when I get worn out, and then it's a bit of, oh, okay, he has written these things down, but, maybe there's just like one too many things. I guess for you, what are your thoughts trying to balance that stuff that I'm in common with you, but then also, friends, basketball, esports, school?
Yeah, like I highly agree with what Rushton said about the balance being a process, because like being 16-year-old, I'm still trying to figure out what that balance is and what to prioritize. Even though, yeah, I know I want to graduate, I want to do these certain things after I graduate and all this stuff, and like take a gap year and all that crazy stuff. But like still trying to find that balance. It's like a test, to be honest. Like test, okay, if this fails, just try a different one. But like, I feel like I'm kind of like you with the over prioritizing things as well. Cause like whatever I do, like I say bringing for color hacks. Like I remember the other night, like I took a 2-hour nap and like I was like, I couldn't go to sleep like after 12 a.m. I was like, you know what? Whatever. I'm just pulling all night, and I didn't go to sleep for the rest of the night. I just kept working on whatever I could work on. I just feel like, yeah, it may not be healthy, but at the same time, like I said in like the other interviews, like I just like kind of like throw up for the thrill of like kind of being stressed, because like I feel like with having a lot on my shoulders, I feel like I'm able to like be more productive, and like I just get like this sudden burst of adrenaline and just start doing extra work for no reason. But like, yeah, I feel like finding the balance is important, especially like having the esports, basketball, color hacks, school, also trying to be a 16-year-old at the same time. I feel like there's a lot of things, but like at the same time, I just try to find the fun of it. And like one of the things that my brother told me as well was like if you're doing something that you feel like isn't gonna benefit you in the next 5 years, I suggest you just like don't try to put too much effort into it. That's kind of like what has been my mindset throughout like trying to figure out this balance and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah. And following up, a fellow Nigerian. Oh, sorry.
I actually like that a lot, and I kind of use a similar mindset. Like if it's not going to matter in 5 years, I don't put too much focus on it right off the bat to help prioritize that. And I'm also guilty of like overloading myself to stay busy and productive, because I mean that sense of accomplishment. Will you stop? That sense of accomplishment that you get, you know, as you're being productive and taking on the extra work. I mean, it's a great reward payoff.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah. I think in college, my mindset was if it doesn't matter in 5 days, then usually I was trying to find time to go play basketball. So very different priorities, I guess. And then a fellow Nigerian, Lanre. I think you probably could tell from Dooney's last name that his family is also Nigerian.
Certainly, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I guess for you, I feel like in the US, we usually don't balance as well as people from other countries. I guess for you coming from Nigeria, how do you view balance, and what do you think of how Americans handle balance?
Well, let me shock you. Balance in Nigeria means you have money. So, but I mean that's just a joke, really. But the truth is, the spirit of an average African is more of the hustle, and they kind of pay more attention to anything. They believe that will help them find, the balance that they need in life. But more critically, I think that the general situation is that people, because of the circumstances around that we face, people tend to not find that balance often until when they get to a certain age, say maybe say 35, 40, they begin to realize that, oh, I need to devote some time to my health. I need to devote some more time to my work. I need to exercise. I need to change the kind of meal that I eat. I need to save more money, So there are just a variety of different things that they are now beginning to pay attention to. But as young people, trying to create that balance is almost impossible. You get what I'm saying? It's almost impossible in the sense that an average young person is looking for how to survive, and they don't really care about balancing anything until that survival, catapults into some sort of breakthrough. So it is at the point of breakthrough that you begin to think about, hey, I need to balance up. I need to create balance between work, family, and all of that. You get. So I think the first things first, looking at is that it's focusing on what is important, and what Morgan and Dooney said, prioritizing. I feel people need to prioritize, especially from this part of the world. And again, I also believe that you can't spend much of your time trying to, pursue only one thing, only to find out when you're about 40 that you really just wake up and feel like, oh man, I need to balance all this. I need to balance my life. I need to create a balance. I need to find balance with everything that I'm trying to do. But it's a very huge gap. People relate more with the word hustle. I've got to hustle, whether it balances or not, whether I'm creating that balance or not. When it is time for me to sleep, I may not be sleeping. I may be working. You understand? I may not even go to church. I may not go for sport. I may spend that same time to go do something else that will fetch me some more money and all of that. Until I hit that breakthrough, then I cannot begin to think, I have some good money in my bank account. So let's think about sport. Let me balance it with work. Let's think about life. Let me balance it with family. Let me think about fun. Let me balance it with this, because the money is there to answer all of the questions, all of these things, all of these needs, for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the really important things is when we think about balance. I feel like Americans usually think of balance in our own lives. Uh, we don't always think enough about balance with relation to others, and that's where we talk about caring for others. Not just how do I find balance in my life, but also how do I help others find balance in their lives. And I feel like I probably started better understanding that maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, it's a constant process. I feel like Morgan, you definitely learned that earlier than I did in life. I feel like it just kind of depends on each person's growth. And then Rushton being an educator, I feel like you also learned that pretty early on as well. Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, when I think about balance, it's hard for me not to think about order, right? And so I think about the hierarchy of needs. To my brother's point, in Nigeria, so balance begins with, are you getting your basic needs met? So it's hard to think about, sort of these higher level, am I balancing work and home and when you're hungry, right? Or when you don't have a roof over your head. So are you getting your basic needs met? And I think that, from an emotional standpoint, are you getting your basic needs met? And then beyond what you would deem your basic needs, those higher level needs, self-actualization, career, even relationships. How do you then balance those areas of your lives against each other? But yeah, in education, I would say, as I have pursued, my own sort of career objectives, and I started college in 1990 and was enrolled 9 continuous years until I had earned my doctorate. And so that decision meant that there were things that I could not do practically, right? I didn't buy my first car until I had taken hand-me-down cars from family members because I was a full-time student, right? I wasn't working. And so that decision to be a full-time student meant that I wouldn't have some of the nicer, finer things that many of my peers had. So part of how I paid for college was that I worked in residence halls as a, graduate residence hall director. So I didn't have the nice house or apartments that all of my friends were getting and buying. But, that decision to pursue that objective meant that there were things that I could not do. So balance for me was a very different picture than many of my peers. And so for me then, so when you think about this notion of order, what are you pursuing? What are your objectives? What are you trying to accomplish? So then what does the picture of balance and order look like for you? So when I think about, my trajectory, I definitely see how that picture has now changed. And even to the point that I made earlier, my decision to then go back to school as a graduate student, I would get questions all the time from friends and family. Oh, have you watched such and such series on Netflix? Now I'd have to say no. And they would be like, well, where have you been? Living under a rock? No, I'm in school. And so the time that I would spend binging Netflix is spent studying this Harvard case, right? Right, that I've got to talk about tomorrow. So balance for me is a very different picture when school is now a part of my priorities. And so order for me is very different. It is, go to work, figure out how I'm going to eat, study, try to get enough sleep so that I can be mentally prepared to engage the day and then be on point and ready to deliver in my classes. So the picture of order changes per your circumstance and what your priorities are, and therefore the picture of balance.
Yeah, and then when you mentioned about Netflix, I guess Morgan's usually, hey, did you watch this on Netflix? No, I was watching something like Paw Patrol, right?
Or Coco Melon, right?
Coco Melon is the worst.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, it's a great show, don't get me wrong, but it's pretty sure I'm going to have a little bit of stress trauma from that.
So I guess Dooney, you're probably way beyond watching that show, if you even know what that is, because I don't.
I think it's on Netflix. I've seen it on Netflix a few times. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I always troll my brother like when we try to watch a movie. I'm like, dude, come on, let's watch Coco Melon, bro. It's lit. Come on, let's watch it. He's like, no, come on, bro.
Yeah, and from what I've heard from you about your brother, I think he's much more like me than you. So I can imagine he's like, Dooney, what's the point of that? And you're like, what? There's have to be a point. And he's sitting here breaking down movies like, see, the point of this character, this and this, is like, all right, well, I'm gonna put on Coco Melon.
Yeah, I think my brother over the summer, my brother put me through like these, like I watched like the whole like history, like Black Lives Matter like collection on Netflix. He made me watch all of that over the summer and like kind of put me in like a huge advantage over my peers in AP Gov. But yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
he makes me watch a lot of stuff. Yeah, he put me into, he also like put me into like documentaries and stuff like that. Now I'm really into docu-series and stuff like that now.
Yeah. Well, good luck watching more of those, because me have some upcoming plans. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And then Reese, what do you watch on Netflix?
Coco Melon and Inspector. Hey, do Dr. Claw. Inspector Gadget. His favorite is Dr. Claw right now.
Oh, bad guy.
Yeah, that's super fun, especially at 3 a.m. when he wakes me up by peeling my eyelids open, and then he does Dr. Claw. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much it. There's another show based on the books by Max Keene called Trash Truck that he really loves. We'll watch it later.
Well, hang in there, Reese. We're almost done. Don't want to take away from your TV time too much. So.
Oh, you're good. Please do.
Well, so actually, Morgan, I think you know, for you being a mom, you know, you understand care in a way that I definitely don't yet. You know, Dooney being a high school student, you know, there's a lot about caring for a essentially helpless small human being, which I know a lot of us have seen the jokes online of you know, toddlers are small drunk adults. But I guess for you, what does that mean in your life?
I mean, basically the gist of it is to keep him from, you know, killing himself. You know, I've been renovating and painting the house and whatnot, and I had a flathead screwdriver down, and I was removing like the faceplates from outlets and light switch covers and stuff so I could paint that room, and I set it down, not even thinking, long enough to run into the kitchen to grab something, and I came back and he had it, and he's like heading to the outlet, and I'm like, no. Slow movie. I mean, I was gone maybe 5 seconds. So it's just stuff like that. It's you know, keeping him from jumping down the staircase. You know, he's a little daredevil. He sees no fear. He's a mess. But yeah, I mean, and then there's, you know, there's the kiss and the boo-boos and singing him lullabies, despite how tone deaf I am, when he's scared, or you know, teaching him his colors and his shapes. He's got a little girlfriend in daycare now.
Wow.
Not ready for that. He's 2.5. But
moving fast.
Because of her, he knows how to count to 10 in Spanish too, which is awesome. So I'm like, all right, okay, there's some good here. I'm okay with this for now.
All right. So it seems like he's learning about care himself already.
He's very caring. He tries to feed the dog and the cats his food on a spoon, which the cats aren't too pleased with, but the dog's like, okay, whatever. You know, he's got his little dog toys that he carries around like little babies and tucks in and kisses goodnight. So he's definitely a compassionate little boy. I'm thankful to see some of that, I guess, mothering wearing off on him picking that up.
Yeah. And then Rushton and Lanre, both of you being educators, you know, you also know about care, not just personally, but also professionally.
Yeah, you know, education and my philosophy on education, you know, and I shared this in my interview. I think, you know, first of all, it's a fundamental human right, and that every person that earnestly and sincerely desires to have an education should have the opportunity to have an education, but should be supported to succeed in culturally appropriate and specific ways. And so for me, you know, you can't get away from relationship in education because it's more than just about it's not transactional, you know. And so what I think about education is influenced a lot by Parker Palmer, who writes a lot about the spirituality of education, if you will. And and so he talks about relationship as teacher, pupil, and subject matter coming into communion, right? And so it is about getting to know the student beyond the content that they're learning, but getting to know them more holistically, right? So it's about caring, you know, it's about being interested in and concerned about how they envision their lives in the future. You know, what do you aspire to be? What do you want to be? What are your goals and aspirations? What do you feel or believe you are called to do? So you can't get away from relationship and caring when you think about education in that way. So I spend a lot of time really getting to know students, and I find over the years that I have students come back to me and say, you know, thank you for caring, you know, about what I wanted to do and be. And I have, you know, many students that even now, some that, you know, will find me on Facebook and say, oh, I've been looking, you know, for you and where you are, and I'm glad I found you. You know, first of all, I want to tell you thank you. But then are real interested in having the relationship or rekindling the relationship or continuing the relationship. So I do see myself in that way as a mentor. I see myself, you know, as a lifelong learner, but teaching just, you know, it just is a part of how I move through the world, right? Teaching and learning. So yeah. So it's about caring and being very interested in people and how they experience the world and move through the world and what they aspire to be in the world, the difference they want to make in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because you know, like you said, working at a community college and helping these students navigate stuff like financial aid so they can stay in class, you know, finish and graduate, and like we talked about with your episode, to finally see their family's name on a diploma for the first time, not just their own.
Yeah. And I will say, you know, I think there is a shift in thinking about education, at least in Western culture. And so, you know, we have, you know, sort of decided that we have to attend to the needs of students beyond the four walls of our classrooms, right? So when students have challenges, for example, with daycare or transportation or food insecurity or homelessness, those are things that we have to attend to and be concerned about, because it goes directly to the student's ability to learn and succeed in an educational environment. So, you know, so the organizational structures of colleges and universities are changing to include personnel that will deal specifically with those kinds of issues and help students not only navigate institutional resources, but external resources. Public benefits are available to students and they often don't know about them. And so we have social workers that are now working, at least at my community college, in that capacity, advocating on behalf of students for them to connect to the resources that they need so that they can indeed be successful and achieve their educational and vocational goals.
Yeah, that's great. And Alondra, you overcame a lot of those same issues when you were younger, and now you can educate others digitally. So, the circumstances are a bit different, right?
Yeah, sure. I'm a product of a lot of personal development. Yes, of course, I went to school to get education, but everything that I practice today were also as a result of me developing myself personally, rather than to read a lot of books. I remember on this show, I shared with you the first book I read, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and how it changed my perspective about wealth creation. And most importantly, helping me to understand that positive mental attitude and continuous learning and networking form a very strong basis for growth in life, and how it has kind of helped me to navigate my challenges and also to be able to create, and most importantly, learning. I feel strongly that learning allows you to create. And if you do not position yourself to create, then you might not be able to navigate your life, because ability to be creative, to create something. Every day we wake up, we will want to get education because we feel that, oh, we can be empowered to be intelligent, to acquire knowledge that we can apply to our everyday living. And most importantly, also, it can serve as an environment for us to find ourselves. Yeah. But I believe that going to school has helped me to understand the framework of society, while personal development has helped me to see how I fit in and how I can be a person of value and how I can continuously learn and develop the key relationships that can allow me, you know, grow, and I know that I was just opportune to find that kind of environment to have gotten to the state that I've gotten to. But several other young people at that time, are kind of lost. So I had to use what I know to help other young people or you know, other people within my bracket to also discover themselves, develop themselves, and deploy whatever skills that they've got to becoming more relevant and creating the right kind of impact, that is necessary. So I say education is important. Continuous learning is also important. We kind of ties up with, personal development, and relationship building also is very important for those of us, for people who really want to kind of move and connect with their purpose and eventually make a solid impact.
Yeah, that's great. And I think it's interesting that our conversation has shifted heavily towards education. Other than Dooney, we do know each other from HBS Online. So, I think it does make sense. Clearly we all believe in education in some way. Um, and, not just being educated, but also educating others, passing on what we've learned. And I would like to close out by going to Dooney, who, uh, like you said, you're 16. Your brother's already told you a lot. Watch this documentary, learn about African American history, learn about which through that you learn about how the U.S. government works, the good and bad, and uh, and then when I first met you, you already coming to me saying, "I want to educate others by creating color hacks." And here you are a week away, and you've already worked hard to get sponsors, mentors, judges, prizes. The website's up. You even have you have a lot of signups too already. So
Yeah.
Obviously for you it's been a well, I guess not lifelong necessarily, but it's been a big part of your life.
Yeah, for sure. Starting, well, I'm just give you a little backstory. Well, me and my brother, like, he's the closest to me out of all four siblings, because, like, even though it's like it's a 6 year difference, like I told you earlier, like it's like we're just two dudes just like hanging out. Like when we're talking to each other, just like hanging out, like the 6 years just disappears out of nowhere. And I feel like with that, like he kind of like, because like he always says like he wishes he had the same chances that I did, or like he wishes he had someone like the way I have him. He wishes he had someone like that in my life, in his life as well. But like, so basically what he tries to do is like, he tries to give me as much information as possible, make me like prepared. And I feel like that has helped me a lot, like a long way, like helping my mindset, making sure I set my priorities straight. Because I remember like in 7th grade, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was just playing Fortnite all day and just hanging out, like not doing anything at all. Like I think the only important thing I did in 7th grade was like take the ACT, and that was it. But like ever since then, like I've just been trying to like get better at what I do, and like kind of like the 80-20% thing that I was talking about, like spend 80% of your time in life doing what you can do right now when you have nothing to lose, or you have no responsibility for nobody. Like, so like when you grow older, you just have that 20% left, and like there's less effort there. It's like basically spend your time like giving the most you can right now when you have the energy, when you have the time, you have nobody to take care of, no responsibility. Like I'm 16, I'm not paying any bills, I'm not taking care of no children or anything. So I kind of have all the time to myself to do whatever I can. It's like just giving that 80% now and just take care of the 20% later. And basically, yeah, that's it. And like kind of like setting my mindset and like just like, I don't know, just progressing through life, I guess.
Yeah. Then Morgan, Rushton, would you like to leave any closing words?
Just thanks for your time, guys. I enjoyed chatting with everyone today, and looking forward to seeing about color hacks. I'm definitely going to check that out once we're done here. And I wish everyone just great success.
Yeah, let me just say how extremely impressed I am with Dooney. I can't believe you're 16 years old. You have to show me your ID. I don't believe it. Wow, when I was 16, I was nowhere near focused and productive and doing stuff that mattered. But I just want to shout you out, young brother, because it's good to see that you're involved in something that's meaningful and that's productive, that you enjoy and that will be beneficial and useful to your community, to the world. I think you are definitely on a pathway and a trajectory for a life of meaning. So I wish you much success. So it's not missed on me that this is, in the United States, we're celebrating Black History Month. And so it's not missed on me that I'm having the opportunity to encounter you in this way. In this time. And so I am walking away from this session feeling inspired. I want you to know that. And so I just look forward to Color Hack and whatever else you do. Who knows, maybe you'll one day you'll find your way to Harvard.
I'm actually going to Stanford. Sorry. My eyes on Stanford.
Yeah, I've been trying to get him to go to because he plays basketball. He's like, oh, I'm going to go to Stanford. Okay. I'm like,
that's an okay number too. But but anyway, but yeah. So
there is grad school.
Yeah, there is grad school. But yes, but thanks for the opportunity to be a part of this panel today. I have enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was.
All right. And Lanre, any last words for anyone, for all of us?
I'm just going to say that when life throws to you lemon, you should make lemonade out of it. Simply because life will always throw you something. Capacity, you have to create something out of anything at any point in time. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to be with these great minds, Dooney, Dio, Kade, Rushton Johnson, and Morgan, and Scotty Shaw. Thank you so much for always counting me in this kind of sessions. And I've learned a few things as well from all of you. Thank you very much.
And thank you all of you for joining us. Like Lanre said, when life throws lemons, make lemonade, which we've all found ways to do. Hopefully everyone who watched this, we hope that this has inspired you, definitely helps you find ways to make your own lemonade. Definitely feel free, try to connect with us if you need to. We'll have some contact information in the video description below. And if you're able to, check out Color Hacks. You can see what Dooney has been working on. But other than that, we definitely encourage everyone, try to see what kind of lemonade you can make for yourself, but also for others. So thank you again, everyone. And we will see you next time.